Hi, this is Chanel. Hope you're doing well. The title for this video is "What's the 411?" Okay, what's the 411? Mary J. Blige in the early '90s had a I think that was her first album. What's the 411? And if you're watching this, you're probably old enough to know what 411 means. But it means, what information do you have? Okay, what information do you have? Give me the 411. Okay. And so in this video, I'm going to be talking about 411. I'm going to be talking about information, gossip, and just overall the spread of information. Okay, who's giving you information? Why are they giving you the information? Is the information true? Is it false? Is it any of your business? Okay. I've said before, I'm in my mid 40s, and growing up, I didn't have cable at home. Now we didn't have cable at home until I was, I think, 12. Okay. And so I grew up with just local channels. And so we had maybe maybe five local channels that would show the news 3 times a day. Okay, there was morning news, there was night or evening news. So I think news came on at, same way it does now, maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, probably 5, and then it came on again at 5 in the evening. Okay, there was a 5 o'clock evening news, and briefly, I think there was midday news. Okay, and midday news, if they had it, was very brief. So they may have had midday, and they may not even had it, because I remember watching soap operas in the middle of the day. But they may have had maybe midday news, but for sure they had morning news, evening news, and the only time you would get news throughout the day, outside of those 2 times, 5 a.m. and 5 p.m., was breaking news. That means there was basically an emergency. Okay, something was going on, and everyone absolutely needed to know what was going on. So there would be breaking news outside of the 5 o'clock morning and evening news. Okay, outside of that, news could wait. Okay, there was no news all day, and now there's news all day long. Okay, and we have more channels than we can count. Okay, now I'm not complaining at all about about a lot of changes were needed with media. Okay, for many reasons. Okay, so I'm glad that we have more outlets. I'm glad that we have more varieties. I'm glad that there's so much more available, okay, for us. However, I think that the spread of news, and I'm going to talk about, right now I'm just talking about what you see on TV, and media. Some of the things that you see, number one, it's not always an emergency. Okay, sometimes things are important, and we do need to know about them right then. And again, it is helpful to know what's going on in the moment at times. Okay, however, not everything is an emergency. Okay, and people treat news as if, number one, it's an emergency oftentimes, and it isn't. Okay, also, I want to talk about back in the day, celebrity news. I remember celebrity, and it may still come on. I don't know, but I remember, there being the local news, and then celebrity news would come on at 6 for an hour. Okay, and usually celebrity news would be, such and such. This actress had a baby, or this. Look at what these people had on for the awards, or things of that nature. It seemed like the personal business. Now, not to say it didn't, because that's always been there. That's always been a factor. Okay, outside people have always dug into the business that does not pertain to them, and may or may not be true. That's just always, that has always been a factor. Okay. However, now that so many people have their own platforms, and again, I'm thankful for it. I wouldn't be able to be speaking to you all now if that wasn't possible. However, not everything is everybody's business. Okay, so say for instance, somebody's husband, it was found that someone's husband cheated, or wife cheated, or something to that effect. What's going on in someone else's marriage does not affect you at all. Okay, and I think of it like this. If there's information being shared, why is it being shared, and what are you doing with it? Are you going to go try to and help the situation, or are you, do you want to know what's going on just for the sake of gossiping? Okay, and a lot of people talk just for the sake of gossiping, without knowing the facts, without knowing truth, and a lot of times, it isn't any of your business either way it goes. If it is true, it's probably none of your business, and you probably just want to, you wouldn't go and help the situation if you could. A lot of you, a lot of people are good at meddling, great at meddling. Okay, great at making things worse, but not so good at putting yourself in the middle of something or finding out information for the sake of assisting. Okay, we're helping with a positive change. Okay, and so a lot of people gossip just to gossip and spread information just for the sake of spreading information, and a lot of it isn't even, a lot of times it isn't even true. Okay, and so what I spoke about was, or what I just explained was more so about overall news, what you see on TV, what you see on media. However, I want to talk about the smaller aspect. Okay, what's around you personally. Okay, and what I have experienced and noticed with groups is a lot of times there's a lot of gossiping that goes on within groups, smaller circles. Okay, and a lot of times, and people, it is extremely rare for people to come to me and gossip, because I'm not a gossiper. I don't entertain it at all. And so people may gossip about me, but they don't gossip to me because I just don't entertain it. Okay, however, when a person comes to you and gives you information, if someone comes and they want to give you the 411 on somebody else, okay, why are you entertained about, by something that has nothing to do with you? Okay, I don't understand it. Okay, and people get excited, they get so excited about things that, again, have nothing to do with them. Okay, and so I would just encourage you to stop entertaining, number one, information that has nothing to do with you, Don't spread information that that has nothing to do with you, especially if you don't even know the facts. A lot of times, 9 times out of 10, when people gossip, they've got very little to know, very little information, and probably it may not even be direct information. I'm a little stuffy. But a lot of times it's he said, she said, and they're passing it on, and there's no there may be no validity to it. It may be false. However, people who gossip and love to spread information love a listening ear. Okay, and a lot of you are listening ears to and running mouths about information that, like I said, that may not be true, and 9 times out of 10 has nothing to do with you. And you may not even have the desire to if you want to get involved in it. I'll just put it this way: if you want to get involved in someone else's business, try to assist in a positive manner, rather than just getting involved just to spread gossip and just to hear what's going on in someone else's life. Maybe or maybe not. Because a lot of times, like I said, people who I've seen, so many people love to talk, and a lot of times they're spreading lies, or just their own thoughts. Okay, and I've seen that a lot. People spread their own personal thoughts and not the truth. Okay, and so just evaluate yourself, evaluate who it is that you allow to speak into your ear, and don't be so quick to spread the 411, okay, or listen to the 411 and believe the 411, okay, because it may not be accurate. Okay, and so, like I said, just think twice. Okay, so thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's late for me, so I'm getting tired. But I hope you're having a wonderful day. Feel free to write any comments. Feel free to like. And again, thank you for watching. Bye.